In one NATO war game, when Soviet tanks started breaking through, the NATO response was to use a single nuclear weapon as a sort of warning to go no further. But the soldiers playing the Soviet side felt they couldn't let themselves be blackmailed, so they answered with one of their own nuclear weapons. The escalation from there to all-out nuclear war took only a couple of days.
Nobody has fought ever in a nuclear environment, and so it's conjecture on both sides. We think that in our prepared positions and in our armored vehicles, which maintain a nuclear, biological and chemically free environment within them through filters, that we could do pretty well in a nuclear environment. But it's all conjecture from both sides.
Things would be much less healthy for people who are not inside tanks. And a major defeat in the land war is only one of the outcomes that could bring nuclear weapons into play. There are others. For example, what might happen if NATO just ran out of conventional weapons? What if there were no more planes for these pilots to fly? If tanks are the cart horses of a modern European war, these men ride the race horses, single combat fighters. They're the 20th century's answer to medieval knights going to war in $23 million worth of armor. Every day, some of them are on alert. Every day at some point, the alert flights are scrambled, and they can never be quite sure, 100% sure, that this time it's not for real. Their job in a real war would be crucial, attacking ground forces and striking at supply lines and stopping enemy aircraft from doing the same thing to their side. That much hasn't changed from World War II, but what they're flying has. High technology has taken over warfare, and fighter planes are out there on the leading edge. They're beautiful to look at, and the pilots love flying them, but there is a catch. Like all high technology goods, they're very delicate, which is likely to cause problems when you consider the environment they'd be operating in during wartime.
This is an F-15 Eagle, and it's a magnificent machine, probably the best fighter in the world. Its engines are so powerful that it can stand on its tail and accelerate straight up. Its missiles can reach out and destroy an enemy aircraft 20 miles away. The 20-millimeter cannon in its wing fires 100 rounds a second. But the heart of the plane is its electronics. It has a radar that can pick up enemy aircraft 50 miles away and tell you everything about them except what the enemy pilot had for breakfast. The data processing equipment is so complicated that one of the main computer's jobs is running the other computers. There's only about 100 of these aircraft in Europe, but each one is so effective that it can probably do the job of maybe 25 or 30 World War II fighters. The only possible drawback is that if you start losing these machines in combat, well, the current rate of production of F-15s in the United States is 7 per month.
It takes about 18 months to build an F-15. The $23 million cost is a measure of the materials and man-hours, especially the man-hours, that go into its construction. About the same amount of factory space is given over to the construction of military aircraft in the United States now as was devoted to the same purpose in Germany in World War II. But in 1944, Germany was building 3,000 planes a month and losing them at about the same rate. Current American production is about 40 per month. Bigger, better planes, but ones with their own problems.
It's a big airplane. We're used to driving big cars. It's a big, powerful airplane, and sometimes is being criticized for that because it's big and overpowered and very large, carries a tremendous amount of fuel, has a very big radar, has a very roomy cockpit, has a lot of range. But it also does a lot of things.
Hangar queens, they call them. Being able to do a lot of things means that these aircraft have a lot of equipment that can go wrong. For about 1/3 of their working life, these planes are out of order even in peacetime. Hardly a record that would inspire confidence even in your family car.
Okay, one more time. When you select guns, you say the gun reticle drops to the bottom right-hand corner of the HUD. Is that what's happening?
Yes, sir, that's all. Unless you go to caged on it, and then, of course, it comes up to where it's supposed to be by the waterline.
Go guns on the thing, and then go reticle stiffen, and see what the reticle does.
Okay, stand by.
Where does it go when it gets a track test lock on? I mean, that would tell if it's going to work.
Tonic, they're going to 3 Baghdad airplanes, so just go ahead and shut it down. Get a hold of the line truck out there, tell them what the problem was with the HUD, see if they can get some avionics people on it. It's going to go to Turkey.
What's causing the problem here is the HUD, the head-up display.
Okay, sir. No problem. I'll write it up then. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm on the way back in.
Okay.
We have in the F-15 and most contemporary airplanes have what we call a head-up display. It's a very sophisticated gun sight. Not unlike gun sights that have been in fighter airplanes for the last 20 or 30 years. It's a big piece of glass and you look through it all the time. But instead of just having a little pipper or dot that you put on the enemy when you're going to shoot a gun, it reads out everything that has to do with basic flight instruments, your height, altitude, and your speed, etc. And it puts up their symbology for weapons attack. Well, the first time somebody sees one of those things, they think it's very cluttered. I'm used to looking outside and have a lot of garbage up there that is going to bother me with my normal vision. Well, then after a little while they look at it again and they begin to not see the things they don't want, and they only see the things they do. Then pretty soon they can consciously look through it without seeing any of that information and see the targets that they always saw before. But now when they want to know some information about that target that they're looking at, they can just think for a minute and see the other number. Whereas before they had to look someplace else or take their focus off the adversary and go look in the cockpit for this information before. At first they were very reluctant to accept that, and justifiably. But after they got a little bit more exposure to it, they found out, hey, this is not too bad at all.
All this marvelous equipment and all the drawbacks it brings with it is not just an American or Western problem. The Russians have to plan for war in the same technological environment. So more and more they've been pushed in the same direction. They too now have aircraft that will do astounding things when they can get them out of the hangar and as long as they can guide them to their targets, which may not be for very long. If the two sides go to war, there's going to be an enormous traffic jam in the air over Central Europe. Put thousands of combat planes in the air at the same time, all shooting at each other, attacking ground targets, and being attacked by ground-based missiles. Add in the fact that the air bases and the control centers like this which keep track of the aircraft will be among the first targets to go in a war, and pretty soon nobody will know where anybody is.
Okay, I'll check. Thanks, I'll lead her. Sir, did you scramble beam around for 4-5? 4-5, did you scramble?
TC is right there. All he's doing is he's going to